messing with my head again. You had your heart set on me, but these feels, they come and go, and they come so easily. Tell me what it is about you that I can't forget, but you're breaking down my walls again, just to set me free. Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Staying up when I go out, you gotta know I'm all yours. But when I say what's that about, you start slurring your words. Tell me why you have to seem so distant when I'm holding you. Your fingertips are drifting away, and I fucking love how it hurts. Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do I? Why do I, baby, why do I? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling?
Good evening, post-university esports fans. Warren JuggleGod Hammond here, ready to bring you more Overwatch action tonight. It is ECAC week number 3, and post-university going to be taking on the University of Southern Maine. Now, USM is currently sitting at a 2-0 record. Both teams have played the Uville, and both teams took a win against them. So anticipating a really good game tonight. Can't wait to see this action. Something else very exciting is we are going to have all of the new heroes available this week here at ECAC. So can't wait to see what we're going to have from both of these teams. This throws out the window anything I feel like I knew about Post University, right? I don't know who's going to, be playing the new heroes. I mean, Jetpack Cat has been an absolute menace in the game so far, so I don't know if we're going to see Vero or King come out on them. And let's just talk real quick about that starting roster. It is going to be Vero and King starting out on support, and then MultiKel on tank, Chewy and Moridin on DPS. So we've already gotten the picks and bans in. I have to scroll for just a second here. Post University decided to ban Cassidy. Legion Tower was the pick from USM. They're going to be the home team tonight. They banned Lucio, which could be interesting as well. for Post University. So I'll be interested to see how Post University is going to kind of navigate that. But it looks like we're going to be starting off here on Lijiang Tower Gardens. And Post University tonight going to be in the red. University of Southern Maine in the blue. And once again, Post University, well, I think I mentioned University of Southern Maine is sitting at a 2-0 record. Post University right now sitting at 1-1. So Post University hoping to bring it back here tonight a little bit. See if they can improve the record, because they are hoping to get that invite, of course, to the LAN, to the Grand Finals. And already looks like we might get a peek at some of these new heroes. Chewy, though, going to stick with that Vendetta potentially, if everything that we see in Spawn does come to fruition. Chewy's just been an absolute menace on the Vendetta. MultiKel maybe coming out here on the JQ. That'll be interesting to see as well. But that looks like that's going to be it for the new heroes. MultiKel, it doesn't look like Post University wants to use them tonight, at least not to start here. Ophelia out for University of Southern Maine on the Winston. MultiKel going to have to take a step back here. Nice knife into the Winston. Are they going to be able to get out of there? Post University put a lot of pressure in. MultiKel finds them. That's going to be the first tick for Post University. They're going to be able to come away most likely with first possession here. As, yeah, going to be very hard for Southern Maine to move in after that tank has been picked. But Ophelia is back, making a little space. Kind of getting behind the point here for Post University. Wait until they've got their jetpack back online. Speaking of jetpacks, we got Game Grab. Chewy gets a nade to the face, but a nice cleanse there from KingJackson. Going to keep them alive. Or rather, from Vero. And now Post University just kind of closing up on that bridge. Nice dive coming in from Ophelia, but they might be in a little bit of trouble. MultiKel taking some damage, but not quite as much as it looks like Ophelia is. Vero goes off the map, though. Post University down 1 at this point. Ooh, Post University starting to slowly fall. Moridin trying to stay alive here on the venture. They should be able to go underground. No, but not for long. And that's going to be... Oh my gosh, MultiKel with the hero plays gets 2. So, point hasn't flipped over yet either. Post University doing a great job of kind of staggering this out. Chewy goes down. The point's still alive for Post. Players dancing on and off the point. This is a great stagger as we see Moridin comes in as well. Post University playing absolutely fantastic here. Probably eked out a solid 10% there on that stagger. Love to see it. He comes out again. So Game Goblin could be a little bit of an interesting problem here for Post University. But again, you got a Faro on the opposite side of the equation. A lot of times what you can do is just wait and deal with them last. Big first pick here from Post University. Here comes a barrage, though. That's going to knock Post University back. Moridin. Only one looks like they're going to be able to escape. Ooh, are they going to be able to? Just barely. So nice hold there coming from University of Southern Maine. That barrage from Game Goblin certainly helped quite a bit. Post University looks like they want to go White Room this time. And I think that's a great idea. They're going to be able to avoid a lot of the boots, not quite all of them, potentially coming out from Game Goblin. Post University ready to move in. Chewy going down low. Here comes the Kitsune Rush. Post University down 1, make it 2. The Kitsune Rush not going to be quite enough to save them this time around. So this is quite the hold that University of Southern Maine has put on this point. You can see Game Goblin looking to see if they can get these exit frags. Ooh, that stagger is going to be rough for Post University. Also good to see everybody in chat. Slap. Sodium, I believe. Temptosaur, caw. If I didn't know better, that I would think that is a Slay the Spire reference. Alright, Post University starting to move in over the bridge. A lot of damage coming in, though. This far is proving to be quite a problem for Post University. Post might need to start figuring out a way to focus them down. Post University split a little bit by this tank play from Ophelia, but MultiKel getting a lot of damage done here. Chewy does go down, but Moridin still there. Another barrage coming in from Game Goblin. And Post University stymied there. Once University of Southern Maine got that point, they held on to it. They did not let go. Also, in chat, let me know how the mix is. I tried to get it good before the game, but sometimes it's a little bit off. I want to make sure that you can hear me, but you also hear the game as well. So, I'm going to turn the game up just a little bit. We're moving to Control Center now. And this might prove a little bit better for Post University, because Post is definitely a very brawl-heavy squad. So, Control Center is definitely going to be the map that kind of plays to that strength the most here.
5, 4,
We're going over to the sim. So that means Post University probably going to be able to make it to the kind of that to that high ground that you usually see right over the point first. Yeah, Carwash gets it up. Ophelia going to be on the Zarya this time around. So looks like they do have an answer for this map on the side of University of Southern Maine. Morta goes in a little deep there, is pushed back. But Post University firmly in control right now at the point, but Low Iron gets a couple of picks. Post University having a hard time staying alive here. And Game Goblin continuing to cause trouble on this Fari. You don't usually see a Fari getting quite this much value in kind of a closed-in map like this. Moridin just decides to charge this already bubbled in, get that reset pretty quick with the rest of the team. I think that's probably a good idea here. Don't want to give too much percentage over. Draco could be a bit of a problem as well for Post University. They might be somebody who they look to take out relatively quickly here. Big pick onto Roasty. High ground now, looking to get controlled by Post University. That's going to be cleansed on, but both DPS down. Now we're actually one DPS down here for the side of USM. Post University takes a couple of knocks to ultimate coming out now. MultiKel trying to get into the way of this rail, but instead just getting eaten alive by it. The point does split, but it's going to stay under Post University's control. Vero doing everything they can to keep KingJackson alive. Post University going to have to relinquish control of the point once again. Vero in a tough spot. They need to see if they can TP out. She is able to do just that. So Post University will be coming in with 2 ultimates, almost 3. Look for Moridin to kind of use that wall pretty early on. Big grab. Is the wall going to come out in time? Vero does go down. Post University gonna have to take the reset on this one as well. We're already at 70-some% here in favor of University of Southern Maine. Moridin decides to go ahead and try and push the issue here on point. They did get 1 pick. Ooh, it's already going down very low. Can Moridin get the last little bit of damage? Not quite. So we're entering final fight territory here, and Moridin's going to be a little bit late to the party. So Post University's going to have a tough job ahead of them. Ooh, knife hits that barrier just a little too early from MultiKel. MultiKel looking for an opportunity to use this rush. Here he comes. Nice job through the team. Can they get a pick? MultiKel finds one. That's going to be a 1-4-1 to Immortality Field out for USM. But it looks like a huge problem coming out to save the life of Rip, at least for a moment. Overtime ticking over. Post University just has 1 more problem to deal with. That's Ophelia, and Ophelia is certainly making things a problem. Strike that. That's going to be 2. The Para is still on the point. MultiKel goes down, and what a hold. What a first game here from University of Southern Maine. Gonna take the first map. I can tell you, this ECAC spring season is looking tough this time around. Post University, a fantastic team, but they're getting maps taken off of them. They're sitting at 50-50 right now, so this could be an interesting match here tonight. But we're gonna take it back out to the lobby while we wait to see what the next map is gonna be. But But yeah, let's just talk a little bit about that. I've got this funky little hair thing going on right here. Here we go. There we go. There we go. That's better now. I saw that earlier. Um, but yeah, let's chat just a little bit about that. Let's break it down, see what we think Post University can do. Talk about what USM did right as well. Um, the one big thing that I think Post University is going to need to find a way to deal with is that Vara, right? Now, as I mentioned earlier, I believe on Garden is when we first saw that the Vara was going to be a part of the equation for the University of Southern Maine, is that um, if you deal with the rest of the team, you can leave Vara to the end, right? However, this Vara is causing quite a bit of problems for Post University, so Post might need to move to some kind of like a longer hit scan character, longer range hit scan character. Right now, unfortunately for Post, they banned Cassidy right off the bat, so that kind of limited their choices a little bit there. But I think moving forward, that might need to be something that we see here. And so what that means as well is Chewy, I think, was kind of forced off the Vendetta, right? The Vendetta wasn't really getting the value that Chewy had hoped. So certainly options I think that Post University has, but I think one of the big things they might really need to do is find a way to deal with that Vara. In addition, let's just go ahead and call it out. I think Ophelia looks like a phenomenal tank, right? Ophelia is very comfortable with both a dive and a brawl kind of composition, right? So I don't think Post University is going to be able to find any too many weaknesses there. So it's going to come down to Post University, I think, looking for that backline or looking for a way to kind of negate these DPS characters that USM is coming out on. Now, we did see Post come ahead early on in a couple of fights, right? But University of Southern Maine, to their credit, did a fantastic job kind of buckling down, making sure they survived, and transitioning to a couple picks. Now, one thing Post University might want to do is they might want to just take a breather right after they get those first couple of picks, restabilize, and then go after the remaining characters, right? A lot of times people, myself included, will get a little too excited and want to just, we see a couple kills coming, and it's like, all right, put the pedal to the metal, let's get the gas, let's go full on. But that might not be the right way to go in a lot of situations. And certainly when you're facing a hero like Zarya, who has those bubbles, and who is going to be able to charge up that beam, taking a breather, taking a short break might be the way to go. Now, we do have the map pick coming in for Post University. It is going to be King's Row. So this says to me, Post University really wants to go to that comfort pick, right? They want to go to one of those maps that they know they are strong in, they know they excel on, and King's Row is absolutely that. What that means as well is I think we're going to see that Zarya come back out unless Post University decides to ban them. I think Post has a couple of options here. They could ban Zarya, that they could ban the Pharah. Oh, but no, we got the ban coming in from Post. They're going to ban Ashe instead. That's not a bad idea as well, because that does kind of take away that long-range threat that you're going to see on a map like King's Row. In addition, getting rid of the Bob could be really, really beneficial, because that could be a really good point presence, right, in case things start to go bad for USM. Looks like Jojo's coming in now for Vero, so we're going to get a swap here from Post University. Now we're just going to be waiting on the ban from USM, and I think there's certainly some good options here, right? I think, taking the JQ pick out of MultiKel's hands, absolutely an option. We haven't seen the May come out for Moridin, so that might not be on USM's radar, right? And I think if it looks like Moridin's going to be in this map, we're almost certainly going to see that May come out, right? So I think that's absolutely going to be a big boon here for Post University, right? That's an unknown, I think, at this point for USM, unless they've done the VOD reviews, they've done the research beforehand. So that's what I'm hoping to see. I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see if we see like a Reaper May come out here from Post University with either the Zarya or the JQ or the Ram. I mean, MultiKel has a lot of different options that they can go to. And yeah, USM has banned Kiriko. So that says to me that they might be looking to kind of like protect the nades that are coming out from their Ana. We did see those come out in the first map on Gardens, right? And they were certainly causing some problems for Post University. So that's going to make any kind of anti-nade that hits Post University sting that much harder. So those are the things that I think Post University has to consider and has to be aware of going into this next map. So we'll probably be loading in here relatively soon. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. Post University gonna be on attack first. It appears. I don't think that's going to be swapped. So they're going to get an opportunity to kind of set the line in the sand, right? Say, all right, here's how far you have to go, USM. We're going to try and stop you there. And having that kind of information going into, right, your defensive round can be really, really powerful, right? Then it's going to allow you to make some kind of defensive decisions, which can be really important. You can say, like, okay, are we going to, try and bunker down? Are we going to try and go for these, like, long sustain kind of heroes again, like that Reaper and that May? Or are we going to try and go for something like maybe like a Bastion Torb kind of thing, right? Get some turrets out there, get another source of damage on the field. I think the Symmetra would be a great pick as well. So certainly lots of different options for both of these squads. But we're going to get a chance here to see what USM is running out on here for their defense. And yeah, no surprise the Game Goblin is back on that far. And this time, they're going to have a Mercy in tow as well. So that could be certainly be a problem. Ophelia opting for the Ramatra, which is a great pick on King's Row as well.
Ooh, I live for this.
And yeah, Draco is back on the Ana. Not really a surprise there either. I think that was telegraphed by the pick coming out from, or rather that ban of the Kiriko.
4, 3,
KingJackson
1.
on the Lucio this time. So Post University certainly going to be feeling good about that. Match is underway.
Put it all on the line.
That shield goes down real quick. MultiKel trying to make a little space here for the team to move in. It's going to be a nice flank. MultiKel fakes going towards that backline. Is going to eat a sleep there. They got up pretty low. Nice wall coming out. But Ophelia is able to get sustained through it. Moridin taken out by Low Iron, who's been phenomenal. Great stuff coming out from them. Jojo actually on the Baptiste this time. I think that's a great idea here on King's Row, right? Especially with that Immortality field. Another anti-nade comes out. I gotta tell you, Rip Draco has been absolutely brutal on that. Game Goblin goes down, though. Moridin hits him with an Icicle. That's a big pick. Now, the one thing that Post really needs to watch out for is they need to make sure that they don't get that res. It doesn't look like there's going to be an opportunity. Ophelia gets left behind. Stays too long. Post University has this first point. So now, Post University gonna have this window coming out here from Jojo relatively soon. I think that could be a pretty big boon for them. Chewy on the M-Ray too. So we do get to see a new hero. Ophelia going for the backline. Gets a little bit greedy there. Almost pays for it. The wall for Moridin good. But it might be the Mercy that goes down. Huge pick from Chewy. Coming out with 3 off of the back of that M-Ray ultimate. And Post University starting to just cruise now through King's Row. And the big thing about that too is they were able to do that with only expending 1 ultimate, right? They only needed to use that override protocol from M-Ray. Big window coming out as well. A lot of damage coming through there. And once again, Feely goes out a little bit too far, but it's going to be KingJackson goes down. Now we see both ultimates from the tanks coming out. Who's going to fall first? Big blizzard there. Can they get the pick on Ophelia? They finally managed to. But there's a lot of damage coming into that backline from the Farah. But Chewy says, I don't care. I'm going to take care of who's in front of me. At Post University, 3 fight wins in a row. They are absolutely cruising through the streets of King's Row. So, going to be going into the final push here with over 5 minutes. Oh, and it looks like they're USM is trying to stagger just here at the last moment. They're not quite able to, and wisely Game Goblin decides to turn back. So I think Chewy is also doing a great job, right, on that Emery of kind of checking that far out. That looks to be working pretty well for Post University. A big thing to note here, MultiKel built their ultimate again very, very quickly. And here comes the barrage, but it's only going to find one. It's going to be a one-for-one trade, but without Jojo there, it's going to be tough. KingJackson opts to use this kind of aggressive sound barrier to push in. That's going to force Low Iron back just a little bit as well. There are a couple picks coming in, though, so Moridin does fall. Post University going to be forced back. I think Post University got a little bit of space there with that kind of aggressive sound barrier, but now they're not going to have that defensive capability. They're going to be relying on that immortality field here from Jojo. Chewy just about has their ultimate ready to go again. There's another window, this time from the opposing squad. Ooh. Overlay coming out from Roasty. That's going to cause some problems for Post University. It's going to be one pick that Post gets, but in the end, USM does find the picks that they need. MultiKel eventually falls. So, Post University has a couple of big ultimates in the bank, though. They've got the Blizzard. It's going to be absolutely devastating. They're going to have the window again, which is certainly going to make... that can buy Post University a lot of space here. It looks like Game Goblin has been forced off of the Pharah now, which Post University has to be happy about. But now they're going to have to contend with the Reaper, which is going to make MultiKel's job a little bit harder. Nice wall to kind of get that high ground. Negated here for a moment. Post University might want to see if they can get that big freeze coming in. Immortality field there. Post University needs to take care of it. See if they can get Ophelia out of the equation. MultiKel going down low, but they're still able to sustain through it. Big ultimate coming now. Oh, and look at that. Ophelia gets separated from the squad. Post University should just be able to pick them apart now. Roast having a rough time of it, but still maintaining their life somehow. That Juno's proving to be a little bit squirrely. Nobody going to be able to touch, though, I don't think. And Post University finishes the map with 2.5 minutes.
Score 0.
So great recovery coming out there from Post. That's going to certainly be a boost to the confidence. Especially because Post, it typically does very well on Legion Tower, too. So to kind of struggle there had to be a little bit hard. For them, but they're so resilient. They recovered very quickly. So now Post just has to stop USM somewhere here on King's Row in order to take the map.
Planet is not going to save itself.
Yeah, it's been good to see the M-Ray come out. I think that's looking good in Chewy's hands so far. This backline, I think, is pretty effective as well.
Standing by.
How are you?
Hey, qu'est-ce qu'on y est?
KingJackson opting for a pretty a much further back position, I think, for that Anna, and that might not be a bad idea, especially if you're kind of anticipating the Pharah might come out. But a little bit easier to drop back there, I think. Ooh, TP comes out. Feely on the Marga too. That could be problematic for Post University. And already we see, Post is kind of like backed out into this corner. They're gonna maybe even give a tick or two here. MultiKel now pushing out. Game Goblin goes low. Post University smells the blood in the water. The immortality field is out. Saves Maga's life. Now there's a couple of players up on that high ground. And honestly, that's some great presence there from USM. I think that was a wise choice to try and hold on to that. Nice nade coming out from King. Ophelia goes down low, forced to back off, and that's huge for Post University. They don't get the kill, but they really kind of disrupt that push. Now with low iron going kind of low as well. USM is scrambling just a little bit. Ooh, KingJackson got knocked down. Post University, a little bit of trouble. Nice wall there coming out. They're able to take down Ophelia. No, it's not over yet here for Post University. Nice block coming out from MultiKel, but oh, that beam from Game Goblin, absolutely devastating. So Post University going to be forced to at least give a couple of ticks here. Probably the whole first point, but given that not everybody fell, Post might have an opportunity here to hold arches, which could be pretty big. Chewy does have that ultimate online now for Post University. We saw how deadly it was in their hands. Ophelia has moved up and taken some space here. Oh, that's a big window coming out. Post University going to be split pretty rough, but Chewy does find one. It's going to be a one-for-one trade, though. MultiKel going down low, but they're going to be sent back to spawn as well. So, a great heads-up play there. Like that a lot from USM. Post University, it certainly doesn't, though, I'm sure. So, yeah, huge TP and window there. But Post University has a couple of big ultimates in the bank here, and in particular, I'm looking at Moridin, right, with this Blizzard. Along with MultiKel, so... Oh, MultiKel going down low, though. Oh, yeah, here's an opportunity for a Blizzard, though. Yep, there it comes. Great play there. The Immortality Field taken down. Can they get the pick? They do find it. Or it goes low, as does MultiKel, but they've got the ultimate online now. They do go down. Lower Iron has been just devastating on that Sojourn. Post University has to find a way to deal with them, and now the map is kind of split, especially with that window, but doesn't matter if the fists are connected to the Ramatra, as Game Goblin did find out. So fantastic hold here for Post University. Oh, a huge sleep and nade. They take away the ultimate, but Low Iron, you cannot give them an opportunity because they will take it. Fortunately for Post University, they're going to be able to reset a little bit quicker here. Jojo should be back either right as Ophelia makes it to the fight or right before. And Post University needs that window. That can buy them some much needed time right here. Ooh, should be going down low. There's another window there, and on the high ground too. That could be devastating. Moridin already goes down. Post University going to have to work hard. Immortality Field's out. Oh, can they get the Maga? Not quite, because Post University has to stay alive as well. MultiKel having a hard time doing that. And a very similar time on the timing, it looks like it's going to be for... oh no, a minute and a half less. So Post University, kind of a minute up comparatively, right, to University of Southern Maine. KingJackson going down low though. Ooh, going to be forced to use that nade. So Post University not going to have that for the beginning of the fight. Chewy's got their ultimate ready to go though again. We've seen how devastating it can be. Somebody's going to need to get that high ground for Post. And oh, they go low. They run right into the field of fire. KingJackson might need to expend this Nano boost to kind of keep things alive here for Post. That's exactly what we see. MultiKel now supercharged here. They're going to go in with the ultimate just like you do. They find one. Morgan now charging into the back line. Chewy finds one. Rip Draco is out of there. But still, the Maga just has so much health. It's insane. But Chewy is actually doing a lot of work here on this Echo. Are they going to get the stagger? They do. So now Post University at least going to have more time on the clock. Almost certainly than USM. But USM really only needs to win like 1.5 fights here, right? Interesting. I wonder if USM is looking to bait some of Post University kind of into that high ground there. Ophelia coming in. Oh, yeah, there we go. Nice TP, but it's taken out. Rip Draco, again, needs to be dealt with there. Moridin has this Blizzard locked and loaded. Jojo has the window once again, but Jojo's down. Gets their heads in the sights of Low Iron. Moridin might need to use his Blizzard right after this ice block. Ophelia going down low. They're going to be able to freeze them. And that's going to be huge for Post University because they also got this window out. As long as Post University gets the picks that they need here. One thing that USM is just great about is they're great about like stabilizing and not letting too many people get picked. So now Post University with the advantage here. At least in the time bank now, for sure. Jojo has the window. Nothing online now for USM. And in fact, we're seeing a big swap here in terms of their composition. So this could be a great opportunity for Post University. USM might be playing not for this fight, but for the next one. They have to complete this map if they want to stay in the running and go up 2-0 here. Big anti-nade comes out. Here's that window on the low ground, but a sleep comes in. Jojo taken out again. Low iron is absolutely devastating, but KingJackson goes down. Chewy has duplicated now. The Zarya looking to see if they can get that grab online. The damage is in, though. They didn't need it, and Post University fights away the threat again. Now, this is the fight that Post really needs to be careful about. Unfortunately for Post, MultiKel does have their ultimate online. Look for KingJackson to kind of like split this map, or maybe even give some protection onto the high ground here for low iron. Right, we can already see Chewy is up here. There's low iron. They're getting lasered down. Huge play from Chewy. Heads up gameplay, game sense, knowing that USM continues to do that. Here comes the window, though, as Ophelia does get a pick now. Post University in trouble. The immortality field does come out for Post. MultiKel now using their ultimate. Ophelia having a hard time staying up, but they're able to do it. Ooh, Moridin goes down kind of low. Here comes an orbital ray now from Roasty to try and push through the last little bit. Blizzard comes out. Moridin trying to slow people down. They get Roasty. They get KingJackson. But there's still 3 players alive. But Post University does have the advantage here. You can hear KingJackson in the back lane. They finally go down. Jojo coming out of the spawn here. Chewy and Moridin as well. Looks like they're just going to try and group up for this last fight. They know that this is the last opportunity. Big grab comes out. Rip Jojo finds Chewy. KingJackson runs right into it as well. Somebody's going to have to touch here. They do find that touch. MultiKel able to get there. But can they stay alive, or is this going to be an overtime finish? It looks like it might be. Post University going to end with quite the time bank over USM. And in fact, USM, the best they can do at this point, because they finished an OT, the best they can hope to do is come away with a draw on this map. So all that Post University needs to do is get 1 tick here on attack. And Post University will take the map. My camera spawned all the way here in defense. I wasn't ready for that. Oh, here. Let's go for a trip under the map. Always a good time. USM really adapted well to what Post University had done here, because I think now we're kind of seeing like the true strength of Post University coming out here, right? KingJackson able to use that Lucio, right? That was pretty tough, I think, for USM to deal with. Jojo looking phenomenal on the Baptiste. And Chewy coming. Chewy's the flyer now. Chewy says, I see you, KingJackson. I'm going to raise your Pharah an Echo. And it's worked out well so far for Post. Ooh, I like this kind of this lurking going on here from KingJackson's Reaper. Recognizing that MultiKel really likes to kind of go through there. Ooh, Moridin on the Bastion this time around. And try and clear that high ground. The big guns. See if they can bait out a bubble here. Low iron. Getting chased by Chewy. Huge play there from them. Negating that terrifying presence. And oh my gosh. Ooh, Chewy goes down low. They're going to see if they can finish off that Ana. They're chasing them. They just need to get... Oh, unfortunately for them, the map is done. I forgot Post University only needed 1 tick. So, huge win there for Post University. We got a game on our hands tonight, 1-1. I think this one could very easily go the distance. Yeah, let's check this Chewy game of the play. And it's got to be this big override protocol, right? That we saw. Yeah, massive. Love this hero. And especially what Chewy is doing with them as well. So, we head back to the lobby to see what's going to come next. So now, it's back in USM's court, and I think USM really seemed to excel the most on, things that were a little bit more deathmatchy and maybe even more divey. So I could see us potentially going someplace like a Watchpoint Gibraltar here, or maybe, honestly, maybe even. I was going to say maybe New Chung City, but I don't think New Chung City would actually play that well for a dive. I think Post University might have the advantage there. But I think for USM, they're probably thinking, how can we get Ophelia back on the Winston? And certainly Gibraltar is a golden opportunity for that, right? So, yeah, Gibraltar's the pick. And they're going to ban Hazard as well. That, I think, is kind of a heads-up play, right? Make sure that, they're recognizing that Post University is strong on the brawl, right? And Hazard can brawl, but also has that kind of verticality to them as well, which can be a really big threat on a place like Watchpoint Gibraltar, especially if you're trying to run something like a dive. So, heads-up ban from them. Now, Post University, I think, you has to be asking yourselves, like, okay, who do we not want to have to deal with now? We've saved the potential ban on the Pharah here, so that's definitely an opportunity, right? They could also ban the Winston, right? Because I think one thing is this Gibraltar pick really does kind of telegraph that, like, hey, we want to play Winston, right? But, oh, you know what? Actually, that Hazard ban does two things, right? Because it also protects the Winston ban, right? So that's actually huge. That means Post University, right, cannot ban the Winston, so they're going to have to look for value somewhere else. Now, USM has also looked really, really good on the Baptiste, but so has Jojo, right? So I don't know if Post University is going to want to kind of do that. My money says let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that Pharah, right? Now Pharah might not be as much of an issue here on Gibraltar because there's not necessarily a lot of high ground cover, right? There is high ground, but a lot of that high ground is really useful for players like Sojourn. Actually, Sojourn Band. Sojourn Band can be huge. Low Iron is deadly, right? Low Iron has several times been able to kind of like turn a map on its head, turn a map on just a dime in favor of USM. So certainly a lot of options here. One thing I think Post University is going to really have to be aware of as well, though, like let's not even talk heroes, right? Let's just talk about the high ground. Post University is going to have to find a way to control this high ground. Post decides to ban some Metra instead, though, because, yeah, there were some really good heads-up plays coming out from USM as well. Post, you're very strong on this Metra as well, but I think they're going to say, what they're saying here is that this Metra ban is going to hurt you, USM, more than it's going to hurt us. So I'm excited to see what Post University has in mind here now with that ban. And it looks like, again, Post University going to be on the attack, so we're going to see kind of a similar thing as we saw last map, right? Post University hoping to, Post University going to be hoping to keep that, to just kind of keep that advantage. So let's check in on chat here. Under the map looks like Infinity Castle from BM Flare. Yeah, it's pretty intense under there, isn't it? It's a great flank. I love using it. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, great hold from Post University, or rather a great win there on King's Row. They made very quick work of that second attack there. And honestly, I mean, Post University didn't really even get hardly slowed down at all there on King's Row. So. Oh, actually, looks like Vero's coming back in for Jojo too. So this backline is just so strong for Post University, and being able to kind of like swap in and out with that backline been very, very effective for Post University. The depth that this roster has just kind of developed over the years is just fantastic. So. Yeah, with I believe, did I say it was, yeah, Vero back in for Jojo. And these changes that have come in for Watchpoint Gibraltar have been really, really fascinating to kind of see as well. You know, the spaceship having this girder kind of dropped onto it has been Just kind of like an interesting change for everybody to kind of deal with, right? And yeah, no surprise at all. We're seeing the Winston come out here from Ophelia. Ophelia just deadly on that Winston. KingJackson, at least for the moment, sticking with the Lucio. King is just phenomenal on that Lucio. Just knows that hero, every aspect of him. But yeah, let's take a moment to look at some of the other changes, right? Because this bridge is also a huge change, right? You don't have quite as much presence on the defense coming out of this bridge. In addition, a little bit harder for the attackers to kind of take advantage of it as well. But speaking of the attack, here we go. We get to see a Chewy Widow? I don't know if I've seen a Chewy Widow before. So this is exciting. Okay, we're going to get the swap, I think. Just seeing if they can get an early pick, maybe knock someone off that high ground. But, again, look at this high ground presence, right? This is what everyone has to deal with. MultiKel gets slept early on. Ophelia, the counter dive finds Vero because MultiKel was just unable to really defend their team. Post University gets one pick. It's gonna be a couple more though for Post. Post University actually does a lot of damage here. And even though it's almost like an even trade, MultiKel taking some damage, forced to back out, almost goes down. But Post University gonna have the advantage as far as spawn is concerned here, right? So they're gonna be able to continue to push here. And we're seeing just that. Chewy back on the Vendetta. Can't wait to see these plays coming in. Finds the Winston, gonna put a lot of damage into them. MultiKel taking a little bit of hope. Roasty goes down though. Torb having to contend with his huge gameplay. And the backline, Vero just doing an excellent job of keeping Chewy alive there. Post University starting off very strong. Once again, Chewy going in, trying to chase. Oh, and look at that. The window, or the spawn goes down right at the wrong time for Roast. MultiKel already trying to take control here. That Game Goblin on the Reaper, though, that's going to be definitely another thing that MultiKel has to watch out for here. Yeah, we can already see them having to contend with them up on that high ground. MultiKel forced off of it. Had to use their bubble up there, too. So that could make the next engage kind of hard. Vero trying to help the team kind of control this high ground. MultiKel goes low again, though. They were out of sight of their healers. Chewy as well. A nice kind of bait there coming out from USM to just get Post University to kind of commit to that fight in a place that just made it hard for Post to find those heals. So this could be a very, very difficult push here. Once the defense gets this high ground defensive position, one of the tougher spots on Watchpoint Peralta to attack. So Post University going to kind of need to take this slow, make sure that they get this. Oh, big play coming out from Chewy. Looking for a couple of picks there. Love to see kind of the in and out. That's exactly how you want this to work when you're playing on the Vendetta. Ooh, Reaper having a tough time of it. The ultimate coming out now from Chewy. Post University almost pushed this card towards the very end. Chewy continuing to chase. Can they find that last pick onto Rip Draker on the Jetpack Cat? Just a tiny little bit further to go. Post University gets this point. Almost 5 minutes on the clock now. And Post is just doing a phenomenal job here on the attack, right? Post looks very at home on the attack. And I think another big thing to really talk about here is now the dive is looking phenomenal from Post, right? The dive, I think, was the big strength that USM had going into this map. But now, Post University has certainly equalized this. Again, like every bridge has just been destroyed here practically in Watchpoint Gibraltar. Ophelia looking to stage on this high ground, but Post University putting in a lot of damage. It's going to be a little too much, though, for Chewy. As, again, Low Iron back on that Sojourn, definitely causing some problems here. But Post University going to get stopped right at the beginning of the third point here on Watchpoint Gibraltar. But 4 ultimates in tow now. Going to be looking for Vero to probably use this Orbital Ray push here pretty early on. Ophelia gets pushed back. Uses the jump pack, so yeah, opportunity for Post. MultiKel finds Roasty, that's going to be big. Vero helping to push the card here, keep the team alive. Chewy finds another one on the high ground. MultiKel continuing to push the front. Post University splitting the team, and now Rip Draker on the jetpack hat. Looks like they might be responsible to try and touch here at the last second. Can they make it happen? Definitely looking for this orbital ray here, right here. Vero, KingJackson also has the sound barrier. They're going to use both in a very aggressive way. That's going to allow Chewy to just go to town here. But here comes the ultimate from Low Iron. That could be deadly. And of course, Chewy says, I got to take you out as fast as I can. Post University pushes the card in. One player left on point. They find them, and Post University finishes with 3 minutes on the clock.
Score 0.
The adaptability of this Post University squad is just phenomenal, right? I mean, we saw, honestly, how dominant USM looked on Lijiang Tower that first map, and Post University has really almost completely turned the tides here. What's up, Deadly Drew? Good to see you there in chat. Deadly Drew been holding down the Overwatch casting on Friday night, so thanks for dropping in. Good to see you. And oh, look at this! We're gonna get to see a couple of the new heroes now. MultiKel has opted for the Domina. And we got Mizuki coming out too. So excited to see this gameplay coming out from our post squad. Oops. So this is curious. I'm very curious to see how Domino's going to work on Watchpoint Gibraltar, right? Because, you know, something that Post University is doing here by not going with that Winston or another, you know, very mobile kind of dive tank is they're going to have to get this high ground and hold this high ground. Now, I love the pick here from Moridin to go onto the Torb as well, because that says, you know, if we've got somebody in the air, you're going to have problems. Not only does that affect the far pick that we've been seeing so powerful for USM, but also it's going to make Jetpack Scat's life hard. That comes up that kind of multifaceted shield there from Domina. Ooh, dive comes in here. Chewy also, actually, we're seeing 3 of the new heroes. Chewy's back on the M-Ray as well. So again, yeah, it almost looks as though USM has just kind of decided to abandon any thought of a flyer here, except for Jetpack Cat. Chewy forced down, though, goes low. The pick is going to come in, chased down by Rip Draco. Speaking of the Jetpack Cat, there we see him. Now KingJackson going low as well. Post University kind of struggling here on this defense. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see some adjustments coming out, because not only are they struggling, but it looks as though the point is just going to get capped essentially in one long drawn-out fight, right? So unfortunately for Post, just because the kind of the nature of the composition they chose, they're not going to get a second opportunity to defend here, which really is playing well into what USM is trying to do. Nice play there. Oh, huge. The ultimate coming out. This ultimate can be absolutely devastating. Probably going to get at least one pick. Yeah, Ophelia does go down. Post University has at least stopped the bleeding here for a moment.
What a charming accessory.
And that was just a great use of that ultimate, right? You can recognize that there's a lot of momentum coming out here from USM, and you want to stop that. Now, Low Iron, definitely somebody that Post is going to need to watch out for as well. They've got the Deadeye, and with Jetpack Cat as well, this could be really devastating, right? But Jetpack Cat is gone, so there's not going to be that opportunity. Ophelia goes low as well. A big fight went there for Post University. You kind of got to stop that in its tracks. So now earlier I said that Post University really needed to kind of control the high ground, right? Well, they're kind of doing the opposite here, and the reason it's working is you have to... What Post University is doing here, right, is they're saying, like, okay, you want to play dive, I'm going to force you to come to me, right? You're going to have to come down to this low ground, and we're going to make you fight for this point. Yeah, here comes that Deadeye with the Jetpack Cat. It goes, finds one. and you drop a Cassidy into that backline. That's going to be absolutely devastating. So great plays coming out here. Low Iron is insane. Low Iron is absolutely insane. So Post University certainly kind of caught off guard by that classic jetpack cat play. Ooh, a nice push away there, but it's not going to be enough. And again, what I think... Ooh, KingJackson, that was rough there as well. Post University going to try and stay on point here. Vero comes out trying to keep their team alive, but that Tesla cannon from Ophelia doing what it needs to do. Chewy just it goes for the hero play as well with that ultimate. It's not going to be able to find the kill they need. What's up, Post U Esports main channel raid? Appreciate you. Hello, hello. You'll hear this welcome in 3 minutes. Oh, Ophelia going a little too deep, but Ophelia does have the Primal Rage. They're going to be able to use it. They find a kill. Ophelia absolutely devastating on the Winston. This scientist is out of control, but now they've gone too deep. They're probably going to get picked, so USM is going to be forced to probably hold back here, but I mean, the damage is really kind of done. Oh, what's up there, Lights? Good to see you as well. Hope the I believe it was a Rocket League cast went well for you. And Chewy says, okay, I see you on Cassidy. And takes revenge right there, right? Hides both the cast and the jetpack cat. So, love to see kind of this adjustment. Alright, and now we get the swap from Ophelia, recognizing that at this point, it's a lot more about fighting on the point, right? The dive becomes a little less viable here. Chewy finds Jetpack Cat again. Big fight went there, but that's going to be a couple of devastating ultimates coming out from USM. Moridin goes out front, says, let me take for a moment, but maybe not the best idea. Moridin finds one with the help of MultiKel's ultimate, and MultiKel is just doing a phenomenal job of using that kind of stunt, right? The one where he can kind of knock people into the wall. Can they get that last kick there? Looking for it. Oh my gosh, huge heads-up play from MultiKel. It's such a devastating kit that Domina has. A lot of ults spent there, and now Rip Draco's actually gone over to the Zen. This is a different look that we've seen from Rip Draco this entire time. So Post University really going to have to be aware of holding their corners now, right? Because if you get that Discord order on you, you're going to be in trouble. And Vero says, headshot straight to Ophelia. Gonna feel that one in the morning as Post University makes quick look at this next push. But again, I think one thing that USM is doing really well is they're not necessarily looking to win every single push. They're looking ahead, right? They're saying like, okay, you know, we don't have to win this fight. We just need to complete the map. Now, they're already down 30 seconds, which means they're probably going to finish with at least a minute less than Post University. And again, this was USM's map pick. So if they don't get this, they're going to be the ones to get the pick again. Ooh. Nice dive out. The Deadeye is ready for Chewy. They're going to push out pretty far forward here. KingJackson comes out with their ultimate, and that could be such a great sustain ultimate from that new support. Oh, nice flashbang there. Finds Rip Draco. But now, big thing to watch here is that Rip Draco does have the Transcendence, right? And that can sustain through a lot. Now, it's not, you know, it's not immortality that you're giving to your team. It's 300 damage per second. So something like a Deadeye certainly can get through all of that healing. And that's probably what we're going to see Chewy try and do here. Here it comes. Yeah, they find one. They almost get a second. Nice flashbang as well. And they get the Transcendence out, too. That's huge for Post University. Rip Draco was just a little bit late with it. So now Post doesn't even have to worry about that. And now we're starting to see the cast of USM play musical heroes. So we get a couple of other swaps coming in. Low Iron, again, one of the more devastating players on USM, does have the Deadeye. Post University cannot get lazy here. They have to continue to play smart. It's going to be a nice rock from Ophelia. Here comes the big molten core from Post University. It's going to split the squad quite a bit. Vero just hanging onto this high ground, keeping everyone alive from distance. Dives in now that Post smells blood in the water. And Ophelia gets split once again. Every now and then, Ophelia is just a super, super strong tank here, but every now and then, we see Ophelia get split, and that's, you know, I don't think that's necessarily Ophelia making a misplay. I think it's a testament to the way that Post University is splitting the other squad. 16 seconds left to go here, and Post University still has a couple of very impactful ultimates. Comes the Kitsune rush now from Post. They're going to push forward, but KingJackson is down. Post University needs to make some moves. Looks like the ultimate missed, unfortunately, for MultiKel. But nobody touches. Post University takes the third map, going up 2-1 in the series. Oh, and yeah, of course, Chewy, the play of the game stealer, on the Vendetta. And yeah, we saw some of this earlier. Oh my gosh, the chase onto the jetpack cat. Yeah, Chewy just out of control, absolutely out of control on the Vendetta. So good. Yeah, let's go back to the lobby, get a chance to say hello to everybody. That cat is so annoying, Lamau. Yeah, that cat's something to deal with. Deadly true. That is for sure. Yeah, looks like they're gonna take a 5-minute break here, but we can chat for a couple minutes while that's happening. So yeah, I think that was a pretty big statement coming out from Post University there, right? Because for those of you who are just joining us, you know, from the raid from earlier, Post University, or rather USM, University of Southern Maine, looked phenomenal on Kings Row, sorry, Lijiang Tower. They were absolutely in control that whole map, right? Post University took control on Gardens. Gardens was the first sub-map that we saw. Post University took control of Gardens early on. Got about 65%. They won the first couple of fights, but USM then took control of the point on Gardens and did not let go with it, right? Post University just could not fire it away in, and a big part of that was honestly Game Goblin, right? Game Goblin was playing Vero pretty early in this series, right? And the Vero was really proving a lot for Post University to deal with, right? I think they were kind of trying to go the route of you know, deal with the Vero last, right? Don't let the Vero, you know, deal with the rest of the team, then deal with Vero, right? It's a good strategy, right? It can really work, but it unfortunately wasn't for Post University in this particular case, right? So Post University really struggled with that Vero pick from Game Goblin. Sorry, I was dealing with the spam in chat there. But then Post University said, let's go to Kings Row after they took the L on Lijiang Tower. They went to Control Center next, which I honestly thought was going to be really good for Post University. And to USM's credit, they took control of Control Center from the word go and just 100-0 that map, right? And so Post University looked rough at that point. But then they went back, they went to Kings Row and proceeded to win the first 4 or 5 fights on Kings Row, finished with a great time bank, and then was able to take that map. So Post University really turned it around there. Then it went to the pick here in Watchpoint Gibraltar, which again, it felt like the dive, you know, was going to be really problematic here for Post, but Post just looked better, I think, at every step of the way on this map. So one of the strengths Post has is they're so good at adapting to what's coming in from their opponents, right? They're able to take stock of like both, not only like what heroes are coming out, how can we counter the team, but also how can we counter the way they're trying to play, right? And I think that's what we've seen both in Kings Row and especially here on Watchpoint Gibraltar. So that really puts USM at a tough spot here, right? Because I feel like this was one of the stronger picks they had in their pocket going into map number 3 here was Watchpoint Gibraltar, and it didn't work out for them. So now if I'm USM, I'm trying to think like, well, maybe we go Poke, right? Something like Poke. Unfortunately, they've already chosen an escort map, so you can't go somewhere like, say, Circuit Royale, right? Which would be great. We do know that Ophelia has a Sigma in their pocket, so that could be really good there. So I'm anticipating maybe we see a Poke pick at this point. Not necessarily which one this is going to be, but I think that Sigma v Domina could be good for USM. And okay, we're going to Suravasa. So this was another one that I thought might be good, right? Because for USM, because any of these kind of maps, right, are going to be really similar to the control point maps. So it's going to be a lot more deathmatchy, and I think that's the advantage that USM is trying to take right now by picking Surabasa. They're also banning Domina. They really didn't like MultiKel all of that Domina, so that's going to force. But MultiKel's got so many heroes that he can play, right? Who I think can kind of like fill that niche that Domina fills. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Junker Queen come out here, right? We saw JQ on Lijiang Tower from MultiKel, but this could also kind of be a bait, right? From USM. Maybe they want to try and get MultiKel onto that JQ because that was when USM won. So an interesting, really good pick, I think, really good map pick, I think, from USM. And in addition, I think this is a good ban as well because it kind of forces MultiKel to maybe go to that JQ or onto the Ram, onto the Zarya. But honestly, MultiKel looks great on both of those heroes too. So what this means, though, too, is like it also kind of means like Chewy is unleashed again. So Chewy, doesn't have to worry about the Vendetta not being available. So let's see here. Post University decided to ban Anna, and the Anna coming out from USM has been really, really good too, right? I forgive me. I think it's Rip Draco. I think Rip Draco has been playing the Anna. Rip Draco or Roasty, but they're hitting like all of their nades, and that's definitely proving problematic. But we do have Vero back in the game for Post University, and I think Vero's going to stay because having that cleanse on the Kiriko, that's what you need, right, when you're going up against an Anna. So I think, that's the counterplay that Post University has here in that regard, right? So honestly, I think probably the biggest thing that we see coming out here from that's right, Anna was banned. So honestly, Vero's a little more free now. I think what this means is like Vera doesn't necessarily have to stay on the Kiriko. Vera has a little bit more room to flex at this point, right? Because Post University decided to ban Anna. So I really like the map pick of the ban coming in from USM. I think we're probably headed into another very close map here. And this could be the path forward for USM to force a Game 5 here tonight. So Post University is on match point. They just got to win this one, right? And it looks like we also just might be ready to go into the game as both the bans and picks have come in. But that should be happening soon. Also excited we're going to see these new heroes. NECC got to see them last week. Deadly Drew, that was probably quite the job having to cast them right off the bat, like right after they've been released. You only had a couple of days to really try and become familiar with those new heroes, and it's a tall order when one is released, let alone 5. So, but here we are, loaded in to Surabasa. Post University, been red all night. They're going to be red again right here. Surabasa is just a beautiful map too, by the way. Out here in Colorado, we don't have these trees, so it's nice to get to see them in game. MultiKel hovering over the Maga. Now, it's always dangerous, right, as a caster to talk about like who you're seeing in spawn, because so many teams change so many times, right, in between, the hero selection becoming available, the doors opening, but showing no signs of swapping here at the moment, so we're going to get to see the multi-Maga here. Ooh, and Moridin on the Venture this time around. We have seen Moridin on the Venture a couple of times here tonight, I believe. And Ophelia, new look from Ophelia, going for the Diva. That's going to be nice going up against Maga. I think that's going to probably end up working pretty well for them. Ophelia tries to take control of the point, but is pushed away by Maga. Now MultiKel taking some damage, forced to back off a little bit. Needs to start proccing that fire, but Ophelia just about out of the mech. Both tanks kind of down. Can Ophelia get back in their mech, though? That could be huge for them. Otherwise, Post University likely going to be able to come away with this. In fact, they do get the point. And Low Iron goes down. That's the pick that Post University needed, but it has been countered with one. Honestly, a little surprised that we didn't see more of a push coming out from USM here. But Ophelia having a hard time getting back into that mech. Post University doing a good job not staying available. Vero finds the pick before Ophelia remechs. Huge for Post University. These points tick over so fast, right, in this game mode that that could effectively be the map. Post University needs to win just this one fight here, right? Or not the map, but the point, rather. Seeing another new look here, Game Goblin going on to the Genji. So honestly, I'm afraid of anything Game Goblin is on. They've definitely proved themselves to be quite the threat. Morgan diving in, but not really too many people out there. Low Iron taken out. That's one big threat out of the way. Post University really just playing incredibly aggressive here, and it is paying off in dividends. Yeah, this first point definitely going to go the way of Post University, and oh my gosh, Chewy gets the DMAC, and that's a heads-up play from Chewy as well. A lot of times, you don't care about necessarily getting the pick on the D.Va, and in fact, a lot of times, it's better to just leave the D.Va out of the mech, right? Force them to remech rather than just come back from spawn already mech'd. Because this also gives Post Opportunity a better opportunity here to start out with. The mech is in, but MultiKel dives in very far with Chewy, one pick already. And Post University is playing this incredibly aggressively. Post University forced to back out here a little bit off the back of that kind of aggressive sound barrier we saw, but it doesn't really work out for USM, and Post University going to get this point as well. Even trying to keep the point alive for USM. Comes out with the self-destruct, doesn't find anybody, doesn't get a squish either, but Chewy does get caught. Here comes the cage from Maga from MultiKel. You are trapped in here with MultiKel right now. And Ophelia about to be demech once again. The sound barrier comes out from KingJackson in response to Roasty's Kitsune Rush. Game Goblin going low. MultiKel smells blood in the water, kind of keeping the pressure on. Low Iron, though, has that rail, and it's proving to find value already as they find two. Post University going to be forced to back away. Respect that kill. Respect the rail. Respect the DPS. Oh, but look at the flank! Can they find something? Two players are already down. MultiKel might have just been a little, the timing a little bit off there. I like the idea, but just a little bit out of sync with the rest of the team. So, oh, they're on the other side of the map. Alright, we're going to probably look for this initiation with the Kitsune Rush from Vero, followed shortly by the ultimate from Moridin. Yeah, here's the rush. Maga's going to go in off of that. Moridin with the ultimate as well. Perfect timing with this. Roast goes down. The healing is down. Game Goblin is down. The healing and the threats are falling. Post University doing a great job finding the kills they need, but again, one of the things that USM is strong at is kind of sustaining when they're in trouble, and they've done just that. It's a couple of players fall, so Post University got to come away with this fight win, but not without a price, right? USM is a threat no matter where they are in the map or when they are in the map. And looks like we got this person trying to spam us again. We're not gonna have it. It's not gonna work. All right. But back to the map. Yeah, another aggressive sound barrier. We've seen a lot of those coming in tonight. Both of these teams very aggressive. It's gonna be a 1-for-1 pick. We got the cage again. Gamer Goblin going head-to-head with MultiKel. That's a tough place to be. And MultiKel eventually wins that out. 96% on the board here. Post University just about 1 point away from taking this entire map, taking the series. Self-destruct coming out here. Oh, Maga gets away from it. Finds Ophelia, slams down on him. I honestly don't know how MultiKel survived that self-destruct. I don't. I thought they were gone. But they stayed alive through it. So this is it, right? USM has to be perfect on this map from here on out to stay alive in this series. Otherwise, both these squads are going to be at the same place in the standings at 2-1. USM has had a perfect season so far this spring, or perfect semester. Post University fighting back from that 0-1 start very effectively. And look at this. Yeah, USM knows this composition, taking a lot of different flank angles, but blood in the water already. TTV low iron down. Another pick comes in. MultiKel reloading. Finds Game Goblin, and Post University well on their way now to putting this series to rest, finding the win. They just have to hold on to this point. Now, they're going to have to do it in the presence of low irons, Rail, and we can see they're already starting to find that positioning. They're looking for the opening, right? They're going to let Ophelia make a little bit of space here, try and distract the rest of the team. That's when we're probably going to see this ultimate come out. KingJackson does have the sound barrier, so that's certainly going to be low iron's first target. Here's a Kitsune rush. Here comes this sound barrier, and look at this. DTV low iron's going to be able to hold it onto it, but Roast Nuts is already down. That's the 2 players down. 60% here. They may have held on too long because now we are at last fight territory and these points tick over fast. So USM going to have to get back to the point very, very quickly if they hope to have a chance in this series. Game Goblin has gone over to the Reaper now. Says, I need to deal with this Maga. MultiKel is too powerful. We need to put a stop to them, but it's going to be up to Ophelia to touch here. Ophelia's going to have to do it, and we get the touch right here at the last second. Big cage coming in from MultiKel, keeping them at bay. Low iron is down before they're able to get out the rail. The overtime is ticking over. No one left on the point. Post University takes the series 3-1. What a showing from both squads tonight, but Post University just looks stronger and stronger and stronger every single map. Is Chewy going to get to play again? Yep. I'd say predicted, but it's not that hard when Chewy's got a sword in his hands. So, and it's right here at the very end, too. What a play coming out from them. Just the positioning there to be able to get that ultimate value out of that and then drop right on top of the Diva as well. Just wonderful heads-up gameplay. Great job at Post University. Congratulations on improving your record to 2-1 now in here at the ECAC in week number 3. Great play from University of Southern Maine as well. Y'all are a fantastic team. Loved your gameplay. Big shout-out to every single one of you, especially, though, Low Iron and Ophelia. Ophelia is just a scary tank, so... and Game Goblin, too, honestly, on the freaking Vara. So, congratulations to everybody. We're going to throw it to a quick break here. Then I believe we're going to get KingJackson here for an interview to talk us through the game, how Post University is feeling on week number 3. So, yeah, don't go anywhere. We're going to be back here very soon. Hello, we are back here tonight with KingJackson. First off, congratulations on the win here tonight. Things started out looking a little rough after Lijiang Tower, but y'all turned it around like honestly like you always do. So yeah, first off, just congratulations on a great match.
Thank you. Yes, it wasn't, it was our comms pretty much that was going on, and we don't have any info on this team,
Oh,
so we didn't really know what to expect from them.
right, because I know you were able to scout last week's team ahead of
So,
time, right? And so you were able to kind of prepare for them,
right,
but you didn't have that this time around. So that was kind of the okay. Let's
right,
learn what this team is about and go from here, right?
exactly,
Cool. So yeah,
exactly.
you mentioned like maybe the comms were a little off for that first map. Was that like the big change that you made, or did you have to just make any other big adjustments otherwise, right? Because like honestly, that Pharah from Goblin looked really it seemed to be a problem, at least from my perspective initially.
It
Was that
was,
something you had to deal with?
it was a problem just for that first match.
Yeah, fair.
What we did was, we started just playing brawl and just call everything that's in front of us because it's easier that way, just a tunnel vision ahead of you.
Right.
And so you don't have to call out somebody else who's behind. If we're just going forward, that's our main objective is going forward.
Yeah. No, I mean
Um,
you all looked phenomenal once you got to King's Row. But go ahead, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
and Chewy and Stu always make it easier when they're just gonna, okay, we're gonna shoot her down now. We're just gonna shoot her down and it's fine.
Right. Right.
So yeah, they did an awesome job with that today.
Yeah, no, they certainly did. Now, were there any moments kind of like after Lijiang Tower where you felt like you all were struggling a little bit? Because from my perspective, like you all did really really well, but I mean, USM still did cap all the way on King's Row, right? They got very close on Watchpoint
Right,
Gibraltar,
right.
but was there another point?
Yeah.
Honestly, Survasa looked dominant from you all. I think that one you were kind of cruising at that point, you know. So I don't think that one was necessarily a problem, but what were kind of the issues that
Right.
you all had to work through in both Kings Row and Gibraltar?
Well, I don't feel like we on um Kings Row they did this weird TP window strat.
Yeah, no, I saw that as was
They kept
happening. That was nasty.
they kept doing it, and we would call it, but then we would all ignore it at the same time. Um, and then it came to like the third point, the last high ground right there. They did it again, and then we just said, okay, we're just gonna get out the way now. And Stu just put a wall up, and he said, okay, we'll just fight forward now.
Right,
So
right.
just little adjustments like that, just knowing what's going to happen and when it's going to come, because that makes the game a lot easier for us.
Right. It sounds like you all do a good job of like not necessarily playing against the hero, but playing against the player, right? Because you knew that
Exactly,
like
exactly.
they really like the sim TPs, right? They were doing that constantly. I remember
Yeah,
one time on that third point Kings Row that you were talking about where Chewy just hung out there with the Echo, right, and waited for them
yeah,
to come up
that's
top.
it.
And they had the ultimate too at that point, which if y'all were tracking, you probably knew, but
Yeah,
couldn't didn't know for sure. But that really
yeah,
did a great job, I think, of kind of like neutralizing that. So yeah,
yeah.
how have kind of like the changes in Watchpoint and Gibraltar did those come into play today, right? Because I certainly saw the Reaper kind of like hiding in that high ground on second point, right, on top of the spaceship. Was that were those changes problematic for you all, or was it just kind of like another little bump in the road?
It was probably just another little bump in the road.
Hmm.
Um, the changes, I don't think the changes did anything to our comp.
Right,
Um, we were set on playing the monkey,
right.
and the Kel did just what Kel always does, is go hunt things down. And I was on cart for like most of that first push, and I was just like, okay, I have it, y'all have it. I take all the free little carpets we can get, and they didn't start really diving me until like the second point.
Mm. So you were getting a
So
lot
I
of
just
free
let I
progress, yeah, that way.
exactly. So we're just getting a lot of free progress.
Nice, nice. Um, Awesome. Well, you're getting a. This seems to be the way it goes here with the interviews here for posts. You get a lot of requests for
Right, yeah.
autographs in chat again. Um, so yeah. Any other like standout moments from you all? Anything you in particular feel proud about? By the way, I talk about it on stream. I don't know if I had a chance to say to you face to face, but like your Lucio is fantastic, right? Like Lucio play, just always wonderful. So, yeah, just great job on that, Hero. But yeah, any moments that really stood out to you tonight that you're exceptionally proud of for yourself or for the team?
I'm just happy that we got the win. That's always a good day.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't recall anything that I did because I don't really do anything but like speed up the team and get there faster. I mean, that's
Right,
pretty
right.
much my job. Is just
Love it. Staying
make sure
humble,
kills go
staying
right.
modest.
And yeah, I mean, that's all I kind of do on the team. No, but yeah, Chewy, Chewy, Kel, and our DPS in total just do everything for us as a support.
Right.
It's like it's easier when you don't have to do anything but heal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
you don't have to
that's
do
actually
anything
fair.
but listen to comms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, big shout out to Chewy, big shout out to Stu. If it wasn't for Stu, I wouldn't have heard of Post. So this
Oh,
really,
really?
I've been playing with him for like 7 years now.
Oh my gosh,
So
that's awesome.
it's a lot of it's a lot of team chemistry right there. I think
Yeah.
that's like probably our biggest thing that we have as a group.
Right, right. Well, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for jumping in on this interview with me. Congratulations on the win again. And
Thank you.
before I send you, any final words? Anything else you'd like to say to chat? Any other shout outs you want to give?
No, I think that's about it. I think that covers it for today. Thank you, Juggle. You are the greatest ever.
Love to all of you at Post. All right. Thank you so much, KingJackson. That's going to do it for us here at Post University. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. GG's. Enjoy the new heroes. Enjoy Overwatch, and we'll see you next time.
Later, Juggle.
See ya.